You know, when William Hurt passed away a few days ago, a lot of people in New Brunswick thoughts went back to his Oscar-nominated and Oscar-winning movie Children of the Lesser God, which was filmed to great fanfare at Rothsey Netherwood School, a school I've covered in the past for sports in the St. John region. Now, Hurt and Marlee Matlin were the two key components of the movie, and ironically, this is one of the few times in Maritime's history, or the few times I think in New Brunswick history, that a film feature in New Brunswick led to an Oscar-winning performance being recognized. Of course, Marlee Matlin at the time was the youngest person to win for Best Actress, and as an orally impaired or deaf, partially deaf performer, it was the first time as well, even though performers had played deaf mutes in the past and were recognized for their efforts. So in today's podcast on Screenshots Remote Control Combination, we're going to talk a little bit of the history of Children of the Lesser God and the weird machinations about how this movie got to the big screen, and ironically how New Brunswick kind of filled in for the American location of the piece. Now, Children of the Lesser God is probably ranked as one of the most important movies of the mid-1980s. The romantic dramedy was directed by Randa Haynes from a screenplay written by Hesper Anderson and Mark Madoff, based on Madoff's 1979 play of the same name. Again, it stars Hurt, Marlee Matlin in her film debut, the great Piper Laurie, and Philip Bosco. The film's narrative follows two employees at a school for the deaf, a deaf custodian and a hearing speech teacher, whose conflicting ideologies on speech and deafness create tension and discord in developing romantic relationship. Now, this movie is rarely seen on TV anymore, but should be, because it really stands out as a play to film in the best aspects of the 1980s style. Now, it premiered at the 37th Berlin International Film Festival, where it competed for the Golden Bear, while Haynes received a special Silver Bear. It was released on October 3rd, 1986 by Paramount to critical and commercial success. Reviewers praised Haynes' direction, the screenplay, and particularly the performance of Matlin, Hurt, and Laurie. The film made big money, $101 million at the box office worldwide on an $11 million budget. It received 5 nominations at the 59th Academy Awards, losing to Platoon for Best Picture, with a Best Actor nomination for Hurt, Best Supporting Actress nomination for Laurie, Best Adapted Screenplay nomination, with Matlin winning Best Actress. And again, at age 21, she became the youngest winner in the category, as well as the only deaf victor in Oscar history. Now, under the plot, very straightforward. An energetic new teacher, James Leeds, arrives at a school for the deaf and hard of hearing in New England. He soon sees a young deaf woman working as a janitor. The woman, Sarah, a former top student, is not well regarded by the hearing staff, but seems to integrate well with the deaf students. James begins to try to talk with her, arranging a meeting through her boss, pursuing her after school while she's attempting to clean, and persisting despite being rejected several times. She eventually agrees to go to dinner, and he watches her dance from the sidelines. Now, we were hearing rumors that Matlin and Hurt were dating at the time, and he eventually lived common law, and you see in the scenes there's a lot of emotional and romantic connection, very natural within the performances. Now, Sarah, of course, does not want to vocalize, and James eventually agrees not to force her to, a promise which he later breaks. He finds out that Sarah refuses to visit her home and assumes her mother, played by Piper Laurie, has stopped reaching out. Through her mother, James found out that Sarah and her sister Ruth were popular, and according to her mother, her peers treated Sarah as she were different from other women. Unfortunately, Sarah later reveals she was solely used by the unnamed boys and may have been a victim of sexual abuse. In 2020, obviously under Me Too, it would be considered sexual abuse because of the disposable aspect of her sexuality. Such treatment has led Sarah to mistrust men and resist interacting with anyone. Later, in an infamous pool scene, he walks in on her swimming nude. James confesses that he's falling in love with her. She seems to be afraid. He eventually falls into the pool on purpose, which changes the mood of the interaction. They share a passionate kiss in the water, then James undresses, and of course it is implied that he made love that night for the first time. Now, the relationship between James and Sarah develops. The school superintendent warns James that he doesn't believe the relationship will work, but James is adamant that he will stay with Sarah because he loves her. James choreographs a dance with these deaf students in which they lip sync to a song on stage in front of their parents. Sarah sees his performance and becomes quite upset. The conflict between James and Sarah persists as she thinks James hates her for not speaking. James convinces Sarah to leave her job and move in with him, although it is not clear what her plans for the future are. James's determination to hear Sarah speak and his ability to help her develop individual pursuits frustrates her, and she feels he is patronizing her. They split up shortly after. Sarah eventually leaves James and goes to live with her estranged mother, reconciling with her in the process. James chasing her, but he refuses to see him. After inquiring about her, James learns Sarah is working as a manicurist. Eventually, she and James reconcile at the school prom. They decide to learn how to stay connected in between the world of silence and the world of sound. Now, there's many scenes in the movie which I don't know how accurate they are because I can't do the version of sign language that's presented in the movie. But there was some criticism at the time. There was no subtitles, and it seemed to be William Hurt's character was repeating everything he was signing to her. Who knows? He was just doing it for himself. But obviously doing it for the audience, so that's the only cheat. But for 1986, how to take looks at how people who are deaf or partially mute were disrespected well into the 1970s and early 1980s. We weren't dealing with the 2022 full recognition of the importance of doing efforts for people that can't hear or can't speak. Now, another character that had a great performance in there was Philip Bosco as Dr. Curtis Franklin, to kind of cool water for the whole situation. Now, the movie made it to screen in a very unique process. After meeting deaf actress Phyllis French in 1977 at the University of Rhode Island's new repertory project, Madoff wrote the play Children of a Lesser God to be her star vehicle. Now, based partially on Phyllis Freelish, based partially on Freelish's relationship with her hurting husband Robert Steinberg, the play chronicles a tumultuous relationship and marriage between a reluctant-to-speak deaf woman and an unconventional speech pathologist for the deaf. With Freelish starring, Children of a Lesser God opened on Broadway in 1980, received 3 Tony Awards, including Best Play, and ran for nearly 1,000 performances for a closing in 1982. Now, following the vast success of his Broadway debut, Madoff, with fellow writer Anderson, penned a screenplay adapted from the original script. Though many changes were made, the core love story remained intact. The title of the film, of course, comes from the 11th chapter, The Passing of Arthur, of Alfred Lord Tennyson, Idyllis of the King. Now, the movie, again, was shot primarily in around St. John, New Brunswick. If you've ever been to St. John, not a better place for a movie like this. It was filmed during the autumn of 1985 with the beautiful Rothsay Netherwood School campus serving as the main set, a private school in that region. Now, aside from locations in St. John and RNS, sets were constructed by St. John local Keith MacDonald. Now, the adaptation also appeared at the Toronto International Film Festival on September 13, 1986, and the wide release came in October 3rd of that same year. Like its source material, the film generally gained praise from the hearing and deaf communities alike. Now, internationally, it was a much bigger hit than in North America, making $70 million. North American box office around 32. Now, talking about the positive reviews, it has an approval rate of 80% based on 35 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, with an average rating of 7.1 out of 10. I think it's a 3-star movie, no more than 7.5. There is some difficulty with the Hurt character being a little bit obnoxious, which some people don't like. Now, the site's critical consensus reads, Children of a Lesser God transcends its transparently noble goals thanks to a pair of absorbing performances from Hurt and Matlin. Particular praise was given to the film's 2 leads. Richard Scheichel of Time magazine said of Matlin, she has an unusual talent for concentrating her emotions in her signing, but there is something more there, an ironic intelligence, and a fierce but not distancing wit. Now, Roger Ebert gave it 3 out of 4, saying he was interested in everything the movie had to tell me about deafness. Now, Paul Atanasio of the Washington Post said of the film, "This is a romance the way Hollywood used to make it, with both conflict and tenderness, at times capturing the texture of the day today, at times finding the lyrical moments when the two lovers find that time stops." He goes on to say that Matlin, the most obvious challenge of the role is to communicate without speaking, but Matlin rises to it in the same way with the stars of the Silent Era did. She acts with her eyes, her gestures, and of course with her body movement, because she's a very beautiful young woman, still is, but back then she was luminous. Now, there was some criticism, which I talked about, that the film was told entirely from a hearing perspective for a hearing audience. The film is not subtitled, neither the spoken dialogue nor the signing. Instead, as pointing out by Ebert, the signed dialogue is repeated aloud by Hurt's character as if to himself. Now, British Academy Film Awards, nominated for Best Screenplay, Directors Guild of America, Outstanding Directorial Achievement for Randa Hayes, Golden Globe Awards, nominations for Drama and Actor for Hurt, and of course Matlin won. Guild of American Art House Cinema Awards, Foreign Film, LA Association Awards, runner-up to Matlin, top 10 films in National Board of Review, and the Writers Guild of America, Hesper Anderson and Madoff were nominated. Well, what's really some of the little controversy about this movie has a lot to do with the presentation of her award. William Hurt had won the year before for Kiss of the Spider Woman, and what was there at the time, the Best Actor would give the award to the winner, the female winner for the next year, and it was actually he that announced it, and it was a very surreal situation. We found out a little bit later on. Now, Hurt had dated Matlin for 1 year and they cohabited for 2 years. Now, when Matlin won the Academy Award for Best Actress, Children of a Lesser God, Hurt allegedly, reportedly, asked her to consider what it meant to win the Oscar after just one film, when others won after many years of hard work. Hurt allegedly, and Matlin had confirmed, "What makes you think you deserved it, Marlee?" Hurt allegedly asked her in a limousine after the ceremony. Now, in her 2009 autobiography, I'll Scream Later, Matlin said that the relationship involved considerable drug abuse and physical abuse by Hurt. In response to the accusations aired on CNN on April 13, 2009, that was promoting the book, Hurt's agent declined to respond, but Hurt issued a statement the following day which said, "My own recollection is that we both apologized and both did a great deal to heal our lives. Of course, I did and do apologize for any pain I caused, and I know where we have both grown. I wish Marlee and the family nothing but good." Now, they call that the one-hit wonder in baseball. It's not in baseball, but in rock and roll and pop music. Marlee Matlin's a good actress. We all know that. Her career has shown it. Even to do comedy, we see her in Seinfeld, and she's been an advocate for people who are deaf and people who have a slight a slight or major hearing impairment. But what I really didn't understand was William Hurt a little bit intimidated that Matlin was a little bit of the better, thespian in the movie. In my personal opinion, he should not have been one for this movie. A lot of people thought he would. I think he was better in Kiss of the Spider Woman. But Matlin is like, she makes this movie. Without her, you couldn't make this movie. Hurt was reacting more to Matlin's performance. And not say it was method, but if you're deaf, what better person to play someone of that ilk in this movie than someone that is, has been deaf for a number of years. What I can like to say about the movie, we're very proud it was filmed in New Brunswick, and we're very proud it has been brought up in an affectionate way since William Hurt's death. It meant a lot to the people of New Brunswick, the people of St. John. We were kind of puffing out in the fall of '86, saying New Brunswick is at the Oscars. Later on, when Legends of the Fall, where a New Brunswick actor played a major supporting role in the film, we were just as proud then. It was about a decade later. Paul Desmond, who played Decker in Legends of the Fall, with Brad Pitt and Aidan Quinn and Henry Thomas, Anthony Hopkins. But we always know the Maritimes is a great place to film a movie, and just proved it. It's kind of weird. There's never been a sequel to the movie. There should have been, because it seems kind of easy to do. But of course, when Mr. Hurt passed away, that bird has flown, as we say, but I know Marlee Matlin has said many times she's very affectionate towards her time filming the movie in St. John. And again, if you watch the movie and if you've been to the RNS campus in the region of that part of St. John, a lot of memories. And I know, see, my brother lives in St. John now. He's a techie in that region, and he's very proud, like everybody else, is that movie was filmed down there, because St. John is the jewel of New Brunswick. It's a beautiful region, beautiful people. I've had great experiences. I worked for a major media company based in St. John for a number of years. I wrote for the Telegraph Journal. I have a great affection. But all I can say, ladies and gentlemen, on Oscar night, to see the movie being recognized the way it was, it just made us so proud. So thank you to all those involved with Children of Lesser God. We in New Brunswick media will always look back at one of the most important. And how many New Brunswick and Maritime up-and-coming actors and producers, directors were motivated by the movie? It's probably quite a bit. I know every short film creator, director, actor, screenwriter looks at that movie as, hey, we broke down the door a little bit for New Brunswick Productions. Thanks for listening. And if you like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget, we appreciate requests. So if you have a request in the entertainment genre that we can do for you, let us know. Take care. Bye.